Hello, and how do you do? My name is Stephen Luke, and it is my honor to welcome you all to my History of the Day discussions in the year 2026. So, let us begin here. On January 6, 1781, the Battle of Jersey took place when French forces during the Anglo-French War and the American Revolutionary War unsuccessfully invaded the British-ruled island of Jersey to remove the threat it posed to French and American shipping. Jersey provided a base for British privateers. The French expedition suffered a crushing defeat, losing almost half of its troops. Among the casualties was its commander, Baron Philip de Roulecourt, who later died from wounds received in battle. The engagement is often remembered for the death of the British commander, Major Francis Pearson, and for John Singleton Copley's famous painting depicting his final moments. On January 6, 1994, Nancy Kerrigan, an American figure skater, was struck on the lower right thigh with a baton by assailant Shane Stant as she walked down a corridor in Cobo Arena in Detroit, Michigan, United States. Kerrigan had been practicing on an ice rink inside the arena shortly before the incident, which occurred at approximately 2:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The assault was orchestrated by Jeff Gillooly, the former husband of fellow American figure skater Tonya Harding, along with his associate Sean Eckhart. Both later confessed to the police and were convicted. They recruited Shane Stant and his uncle Derek Smith to carry out the attack. Gillooly and Eckhart claimed that Harding was aware of and involved in the plan beforehand, although Harding initially denied any connection. She later accepted a plea deal in which she admitted to helping conceal the crime afterward. Subsequent investigations by a grand jury and a disciplinary panel of the United States Figure Skating Association concluded that there was additional evidence of her involvement in both planning and execution. Harding has consistently denied participation and was never criminally convicted in relation to the attack. The purpose of the attack was to stop Kerrigan from competing in the 1994 United States Figure Skating Championships and the upcoming Winter Olympics, thereby improving Harding's chances in both competitions. Kerrigan was forced to withdraw from the national championships, but recovered in time to compete at the Olympics. Both skaters ultimately participated in the 1994 Games. Later that year, Harding was permanently banned from USFSA sanctional events. The incident and its consequences received extensive national and international media attention and left a lasting mark on American popular culture, including inspiring the 2017 film I, Tonya. And on January 6, 2021, the United States Capitol in Washington, D.C. was attacked by a mob of supporters of President Donald Trump in an attempt to self-coup 2 months after his defeat in the 2020 presidential election. They aimed to keep him in office by disrupting the joint session of Congress, which was responsible for counting the Electoral College votes and formally confirming the victory of President-elect Joe Biden. The effort failed, and the election results were ultimately certified. A bipartisan House Select Committee later concluded that the attack represented the culmination of a broader effort by Trump to overturn the election outcome. Within 36 hours of the events, 5 people had died. 1 was fatally shot by Capitol Police, 1 died from a drug overdose, and 3 died of natural causes, including a police officer who suffered a stroke a day after being assaulted during the riot. Numerous others were injured, among them 174 law enforcement officers. In the months that followed, 4 responding officers died by suicide. Property damage caused by the attack exceeded $2.7 million. After being urged to act by Trump on January 5th and 6th, thousands of his supporters gathered in Washington, D.C. to back his false claims that the 2020 election had been stolen by radical left Democrats and to pressure Vice President Mike Pence and Congress to reject Biden's win. On January 6, beginning at noon during a Save America rally on the Ellipse, Trump repeated unfounded allegations of election fraud and warned that If you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore. As Congress convened to count the electoral votes, thousands of rally attendees, some carrying weapons, marched to the Capitol, where hundreds broke through police lines. Among those involved were leaders of the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers. The event is widely described as the only attempted coup d'etat against the federal government in U.S. history. The FBI estimates that between 2,000 and 2,500 people entered the Capitol. Some vandalized offices and stole property, including from the offices of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and other lawmakers. Rioters assaulted police officers and journalists. Law enforcement evacuated and secured both chambers of Congress and multiple buildings within the Capitol complex. While rioters occupied the vacant Senate chamber, federal officers defended the House floor. Authorities later discovered pipe bombs at the headquarters of both major political parties and Molotov cocktails in a nearby vehicle. Trump delayed authorizing the National Guard. Later that day, he released a video on Twitter reiterating false election claims while telling supporters to go home in peace. By mid-evening, the Capitol was cleared and Congress reconvened, completing the vote count early on January 7th. When Pence officially declared Biden the winner, under mounting pressure from his cabinet, threats of removal and multiple resignations, Trump later acknowledged an orderly transfer of power in a televised address. 1 week after the attack, the House impeached Trump for inciting insurrection, making him the first United States president to be impeached twice. Although the Senate voted 57-43 to convict after he left office, the vote fell short of the required two-thirds majority, resulting in acquittal. Senate Republicans blocked the creation of an independent bipartisan commission, prompting the House to form a select committee instead. That committee held public hearings, subpoenaed Trump, and recommended criminal prosecution. A subsequent special counsel investigation led to Trump being charged on 4 counts, though all were later dismissed following his re-election. Trump and several Republican officials have since sought to reframe the event by minimizing the violence, promoting conspiracy theories, and depicting those charged as political prisoners or heroes. Of the 1,424 individuals charged with federal crimes connected to the attack, 1,010 pleaded guilty and 1,060 received sentences, with 64% sentenced to jail. Some defendants were affiliated with far-right extremist or conspiracy-driven groups, including the Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, and the Three Percenters, several of whom were convicted of seditious conspiracy. On January 20th, 2025, upon returning to office, Trump issued clemency to all January 6 participants, including those convicted of violent crimes. That's all I have for this morning. If you all like what you heard, don't forget to leave a comment down below and subscribe. This is Stephen Luke, and I hope you enjoyed the very first history video of 2026.